I am about to make snow because this story, it takes place where there's snow. So one of my favorite things to do is going to do a little bit of prep work for this story because we're going to tell it, this beautiful, funny, fanciful story with different characters than the author, Jan, and illustrator, so beautiful, gave us. So first we're going to make a snowflake because, well, there's a couple of reasons. The real good reason is I love to do this and it makes a little bit of a mess. So you might want to work over a waste basket. So first thing I did, I made me a square. If you don't know how to do that, I'm sorry I didn't tell you before. Such fun. You can do so many things if you make a square. So what I did was I took a very, very inexpensive piece of paper, and you know, it has to be white because that's snow. And I folded from this corner, just made it level to the side, right? This is good. Does it have to be even? Nah. And then I want it to be a square, so I need to cut this part, the extra off. I'll do it again so you can see. Be careful not to cut my finger. Now, for those of you who know snowflakes as well as I do, because I live in Chicago, you know they're all different. And that's why this is fun to do. And then we're going to fold it again. And the more folds you have, the more interesting your pattern. I've done this a lot of different ways, but we're going to do it the quick way today. If you've got a good scissors, you can fold it a lot. And if you don't have a good scissors, it'll just take you lots of strength. And then what you do is you just begin to cut. You cut pieces here, you cut pieces there. And while I am so busy cutting, I'm also going to be busy telling you about this story. The story is a Ukrainian folk tale, probably told for years and years and years and years. And Jan Brett, who is not Ukrainian, but apparently had a really good friend, maybe still does, who was Ukrainian, heard this story from her and decided it would make a wonderful, wonderful, fanciful tale. So see what I'm doing? I'm just making cuts. I need to keep those folds intact. Just like when remember we made paper dolls? Oh, that was fun. So I'm going to stop right now, see what I got, see if it's snowing yet. They always also look like something else. So I'm going to put down my scissors carefully, and then I'm going to open this up. Oh, it's snowing, it's snowing. I should get a hat. Here we have it. A quite beautiful snowflake. Now, these are fun if you live, well, it's winter everywhere. You're watching this today. So you can always hang these up. They make beautiful decorations. So I see you, and it's snowing. So I'm going to put the snow on the ground right over here by Grandma's. Allow me to introduce you to Grandma. There she is. Grandma, you want to wave, Grandma? Cool. Grandma's a string puppet. You're blowing a kiss. So cool. And Grandma is the start of our story, and she's the end of our story. So I'm going to focus on her in a bit. But for now, I'm going to move you over here to my work table. Introduce you to The Mitten by Jan Brett. First told and drawn out and made into a beautiful book in 1989. And I want to show you the book for a couple of reasons. The pictures, the illustrations, the art is so beautiful. Just looking at this book makes me smile with excitement, shiver with delight. And I discovered something this morning. I thought, well, will I show it to you with the beautiful cover on, which is fabulous? Will I show you some of the pages, which are magical? And should I take the cover off? So a lot of books, when they have a paper cover like this, have the same cover on the inside, but not this book. So look at what the artist, illustrator, author did. We put this on carefully away. Ooh, did you hear that? And show you the cover underneath. I thought that was so cool. That's what she did. She decided, you don't need to see the scan, right? She decided to have actually a house, a door, and then the scenery. Quite beautiful, eh? And this is where our boy, Nicky, lives. And every single page has some secrets of art in it. So here it is, the title of our story, and one of our characters. Who could that be? Let me look too. Oh, It's a red fox. So here was my very first idea I'm going to share with you. Then I'm going to introduce you to the cast of characters. The cast of characters in this book and in our story are slightly different. And here's why. The whole idea of our program that we bring to you is that if you don't have something around the house, I don't want you to go out and get it. I want you to use what you have. And even if you just have a piece of paper and it's been used already, and a crayon, you can draw something and make it into the story. If you have made a snowflake, where are my mittens? You already have scenery. How cool, right? That was a pun. Cool. Snowflake. Now, in the story, it all takes place within a white mitten. Nikki wants a white mitten, and that will be fine. But I looked all over my house. I didn't have a white mitten. I had some brown mittens and black ones and some multicolored mittens. I did not have a white mitten, but I had a white hat. So with a piece of thread and a big needle, I took my white hat and I made it as best I could into a mitten. Now, what is so good about this, not that I did a great job, mind you, I wasn't bragging about that, is that when I'm all done, I can just carefully pull the thread out that I sewed it with, and I'll have my hat back. And then I didn't ruin anything in the making, but I do have a prop. I have a white mitten. And I have to tell you, very nice and cozy, my white mitten. So that is the hat that will be used as a glove, a mitten, for our story today called The Mitten. Now, whew, I walked around my studio, surrounded by all these magical characters, some of which I've made, most. And I didn't have exactly the right characters, so I thought really hard. What I'd love to do for my friends, that's you, is to show you how to make a puppet out of a mitten that you know well. I don't know about you. I lose mittens. I lose gloves. So I have a lot of odd ones. So I thought maybe I could just show you how to make a puppet out of a mitten, and I'll make one. What I would love to do someday, and maybe I will. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow. Don't know yet. Is make this entire story out of mittens. Okay. So here we go. This is a mitten, but it's not a white mitten, so I couldn't use it in the story. But I could use it as a puppet. Why? Very soft. He opens and shuts. Needs a couple eyes. He needs some ears. He needs a tongue. Yep. He needs a few things that would distinguish him as a puppet. So what I did was I took his partner with his permission. May I show everyone what we made together? But I'm going to ask you to retire now. It's okay. We'll use you another time. We can make you into a puppet too. Yep. Mm-hmm. Then you'll have a friend. So I did exactly what I just told you to do. I took the other partner mitten. I took a needle and a thread, and I have a whole lot of these. Not everybody does. Now that was my left-hand mitten. This is my right-hand mitten. And I made him into one of the characters in our story. He is the fox. Doesn't have any sharp teeth, because I'm going to use that as my pretender. Mm-hmm. Couple of ears. All of this can come off because I velcroed it on. These, his eyes. Oh, I'm sorry. Did that hurt? These, his eyes, are just sewn in, back and forth sewn in, and they can be removed too. But you know what? I like him. And if I make his partner into a puppet, then I can walk down the street with both of them and tell stories as I'm walking. Want to hear a story about a fox? Yeah, it's you. So now I want to introduce you to the cast, because there's one other character that you can make on your very own, and that would be this one. Do you recognize what this is? This is a third of an egg carton. That count, divide by 3 here, okay? And what I did was I made an owl. I used him in a story a long time ago, but he's still very sturdy and around. Put in a couple of big old eyes because I have them, but you don't have to do that. So if you eat eggs, you can make 3 owls. And then you can tell stories about 3 owls. But there is an owl. Actually, Jan Brett put an owl in that story. So I've made that one for a character. And one other one that I made, and the rest, this, all right, I'll tell you what it is. It is a brush for cleaning in the bathroom. Very functional, very. But he also makes a great porcupine. And all I did was I took some pipe cleaners, chenille sticks, and I stuck them in there because a porcupine is a great character to have in our story. And I don't know how many of you are familiar with porcupines. We had a story once about him called Hug Me. But porcupines, until they get mad, and we don't want to ever get a porcupine mad, are very soft. It's when they stick their spines up that really make them angry. So this is what I'm going to do so I won't get confused while we're telling the story. I'm going to put the characters in the order of which they appear, and I'd like to introduce you to them first. Nikki, our hero, is only seen in the beginning and the end, along with Grandma, who I will turn the camera on in a minute. Grandma, by the way, is from an artist in Vermont who makes beautiful string puppets. I think maybe we'll turn and visit Grandma now. Okay? There she is. And it's a snowy day. Another good story we'll tell another time. And here's the wool. This is the wool she wanted to use, but Nikki would have no part of it. Nikki wanted white mittens. That's what he wanted. So he begged and begged. So I'm going to take that wool away because Grandma won't use it. And we have to put snow on the ground. Set up our house here. I'll put her in her house in a minute. And so here's what happens. One by one, we get to see characters. And they climb into the mitten. One by one. We're going to meet a frog. We're going to meet a fox. We're going to meet a porcupine, an owl, a bear, and last but not least, a mouse. That's our story in the order in which it appears. And I have set my characters out in front of me. So all I have to do, just in case one of us forgets, that would be me, is look down and I'll know who's up next. So that I wanted you to know that. Now, over here is Grandma. You ready, Grandma? You gonna wave to the audience again? Grandma doesn't move around very much. Her strings are up here. She is a string puppet. And I love this story. And apparently a lot of my friends out love it too because they've all remarked on it. So here we go. Get thee ready. Once upon a time, there was a little boy named Nicky. And Nicky lived with his Baba, his grandma, and she wanted him to have some mittens for the winter. He wanted only white wool mittens. And Grandma's Baba said, no, if you have white mittens and they drop in the snow, you'll lose them because they'll disappear, white on white. And he begged and begged and begged. And he said, please, Grandma, Baba, I really want white mittens. So finally, she relented and made him white mittens. And he loved them. But this is what she said to him as he was about to go out in his day. She said, Nicky, when you come home, first, I'm going to see that you are safe and sound. And the second thing I'm going to do is see that you have your mittens. Well, he wasn't concerned at all about losing that mitten. But off he went on his way. Grandma went into the house and stayed looking out the window. Now, Nicky went about his day as boys do. He went up hills and down hills wearing his mitten. Now, somewhere along the way, and we don't know where, that mitten flew off and landed on the ground. And Nicky went on his way. It was a sunny, warm day, and sometimes we'd take off our mittens, so he didn't even realize it was gone yet. But who should come along but a frog? Now, it's cold, and a frog wanted to be terribly warm and also just wanted to hide during the winter. So when the frog saw that mitten, the frog crawled inside and settled in for a long, peaceful snooze. And the frog was happy. Now, that was all very well and good because the frog was warm and the frog was happy. In the meantime, however, while the frog was busy snoozing away, along came a fox, also cold, looking for a place to go, to burrow in for the winter. And when the frog saw the fox outside, the frog said, "You can't come in here. It's mine." But when he saw the fox's sharp teeth, he made room, and the fox went inside a mitten. So now we have what? We have a frog and we have a fox. An odd combination, to say the very least. But there they were, happily together. Now, while they were snoozing away, who should come along, oddly enough, but a porcupine, looking for a place to go for the cold, snowy winter. And when the porcupine stuck its nose in, the fox and the frog said, "Go away, there's no room." And then when they saw what the porcupine had with its sharp spines, they happily made room. And the porcupine, as best as the porcupine could, squeezed right in to the mitten. Now, the mitten was getting quite large, but they all cuddled together and they were happy. In the meantime, swooping down from the sky came an owl. And the owl looked inside. "Oh, that looks nice and cozy. Who is in there?" And the frog and the fox and the porcupine said, "Go away, there's no room for you." But when they saw the owl's talons, they said, "All right." So they all squished over and bit in to the mitten, which seemed to grow surprisingly large. Now, just about that time, who should come by, oh dear me, but a bear. Now, you all know bears. Bears hibernate all through the winter, but the bear could not find a reasonable cave. So what did the bear do but come up to this soft-looking thing? Couldn't even recognize what it was and said, I think I'll go in there." And they said, "You can come in here." The owl and the porcupine and the frog and the fox said, "Go away, there's no room for a bear." But that wasn't a good idea. So they too moved as far away as they could and barely made room for that bear. Barely did. Now, if you can see what I can see, this is a mitten stretched to its fullest capacity. But we weren't done yet, because along came a mouse. And the mouse squeaked in. Looks like a party in there. Let me in, let me in." And they all said, the frog said, "No." And the fox said, "Not a chance." Oh, and the owl said, "Who goes there?" And the bear said, "Run." And the porcupine was about to get angry, and nobody wants an angry porcupine. So they decided they would make room for the little mouse. And the little mouse snuck inside, but the minute that he did, he landed on the bear's nose. And the bear took one big breath and started to sneeze. Achoo, achoo. And the mitten went flying through the air, and all the creatures fell out. And the mitten flew and flew and flew until it landed right in front of Nicky. Now, Nicky put his mitten on, and as he came to the door of the house, Grandma did as Grandma said. "Baba," Grandma said to him, "Nicky, Nicky, are you safe and are you sound? He said, yes. And she said, do you have your mittens? And he said, well, of course I do. A wonderful, fanciful story about somebody who, like me, and maybe like you, once in a while misplaces a mitten. And the best part about mittens, it doesn't matter if one is one color and one is the other, as long as they keep you warm. And that, on this snowy, snowy, snowy day, is what I wish for you. The end.